Hi, my name is Safi, and you're listening to Professional Ramble Podcast. This season 2, episode 2, where I'm going to talk about representation of Black women in media and just in pop culture / politics, and how I'm moving better into thingy / lack of representation. Before starting, I feel like it's best to talk about the Black girl tropes, like the different Black girls tropes, or like the stereotypes of Black women in general. I'm going to talk about prettty privileges, and I'm going to talk about Hollywood stands on representation and the way they go around representation in that type of way. And just like the cash grabs that Hollywood has for representation and the forced representation that there is and I'm gonna talk about the representation in politics of Kamala Harris and like the negative backlash that Kamala Harris is getting of the representation of young Black girls. And so I'm gonna talk about that and Lupita Nyong'o and the poet. I'm just gonna talk all things that in this episode. So yeah, keep on listening and have fun. Just chill or just walk. I don't know what you do, but yeah. I hope this is a fun and interesting episode. But yeah, as a Black woman, I felt like I wanted to talk about it because with the Black girl tropes, I find myself kind of falling into this tropes because it's so often seen in media, and the way that like society and the people around us try to force Black girls into these certain types of tropes depending on who you are. And like nothing's wrong with these tropes by itself. Like and there is something wrong with the tropes by itself, but like these tropes are like personality traits that like once you're in this trope, you can only be in this trope, and society makes Black girls be only one trope, and that's where the problem itself comes from. So, yeah, the first Black girl trope I'm going to talk about is the token Black girl. I feel like for this trope, I just watched a video of someone talking about the experience with feeling like the token Black girl. And I feel like with my experience with being friends with a token Black girl whose friends are most majority white girls, I was talking about my experience, and I felt like that was a little too harsh, but I never really thought to like see how like those people's experience, those Black girls or those POCs experience with when they're friends with white girls videos, perspective type thing. So I felt like my it was kind of harsh, and I was kind of putting the blame onto the Black people itself and the POC people itself. So, but what I meant to say is really like it's just that like with token Black girls, there just seems to be a lot of it just seems to be like the problem is that like white people tend to make insensitive jokes when they're around like their Black friend and stuff like that, and then expect them to find like an excuse or something like that. Or like when white boys is like, my parents won't like that I'm dating a Black girl, so like I can't date you. Or like when I watched this when I was watching the video, someone said like her friends started playing like slave music and wanted to see her reaction. So like those type of stuff really becomes insensitive and stuff like that. So like that's what I meant when I was talking about how the token Black girl is very insensitive. But like yeah, you can continue listening now. Bye. You often see the token Black girl in movies, and you also see this person out in spaces and stuff like that. Especially with me being in the PWI, I see a lot of token Black girls, like that one Black girl who's in like whose friend circles all white girls and stuff. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having white friends, but like white people tend to like especially like white girls tend to like have a token Black girl, or just, and also like you also see a token Black dude also, of like that one Black person that's just in a good, and they tend to use that way to be like, well, I have a Black friend, so I can't be racist. Or I have a Black friend, so I can't do this, so I can say this. I have a Black friend, so I can say the N-word because they gave me the N-word pass. And you see a lot of this, like, yeah, the Black friend might have given the N-word pass because they felt like I had to do, because when you're around like a whole circle of like people who don't look like you feel like you have to do stuff to like fit in spaces and stuff like that. So you see a lot of stuff of like Black girls or just like Black people in general just doing stuff like for white people, feeling like that's the only way they can be accepted, especially with being in a space. And like those like I feel like I shouldn't be saying this, but like I don't really care. There's just like one dude I matched with on Tinder with my school, and like I noticed that like a lot of his friends are all white, and like I don't have a problem with that, but his friends are like Chad and Brad. If it was also like another white dude, I would be like, bro, what the fuck? This is like, I love this stereotypical, yo. But like, it was, so he seemed to like be like the talking black girl, like he would go over, he would just like follow them and stuff like that. So, and that's why like I sometimes tend to like be intimidated to be around that talking black girl. And I feel like I shouldn't, but like I sometimes feel intimidated because I feel like they're just like, it feels like that mean girl group. It feels like the mean girl group of like, yeah, like you're not one of us, and like you're the cool one. But like I know I shouldn't feel like that, and I know like the black girls, like the more I learn about it on Twitter and like people's like talking black girls experiences that I hear on Twitter, and like of like I have these people, these white people are like the people in my spaces, like in my sport team, like they're all white, and like I have to find a way to like blend in with those people and stuff like that. So it's just like, and like with the token black girl, like when I first moved to America, like almost of all the Nigerians that were like that were around me were all talking black girls. Of like, so it's like that's why I always felt intimidated to be friends with like Nigerian girls, because like they were always just like around that like mean white girl, and that's where like you get the thing of just, I don't know how to quite explain it properly, but like a video on YouTube kind of like explains it properly, like the history of all these different tropes. It's called MTV Decoded of the black girl tropes and like the black girl stereotypes and how harmful they are and the history of that. So I feel like that you should watch that, and it better like explains like the history and why all these tropes are fucking harmful as fuck. And the token black girl falls into like the black best friend trope. Like you see this in a lot of movies of like the black girl who has no personality and is just there to be for the white counterparts, and it's just like, you don't know shit. We never, throughout the show, we never learned shit about the black girl, and because they're just there to be there for the white counterpart, and for the directors to be like, yo, we are diverse, we hired a black girl and stuff like that. But like it's like the movie is just like, it's just a black best friend just to be like, yo, we are diverse, but like not really, because you only see the character when they're there to like help out the white counterpart, or just like give advice that the white counterpart is gonna ignore. Yeah, it's that type of thing. My next one is the angry black girl trope of like, the angry black woman of like, how black women are like, it started like in the civil rights movements of like when like slaves were starting to be free and stuff like that, and like people and they were protesting of how like black women were always the ones like in the front, always protesting for what's right and stuff like that. So you see that of like yeah, so I'm loud and stuff like that. So like it came out to be angry black woman, and like and now we see this in like workspaces of like black women now wanting to be, or black women and in the class now wanting to be labeled as the angry black woman, because as soon as you're labeled the angry black woman, no one listens to you, no one takes you seriously or anything. Like they're just like, she's always mad for no reason, like, and white people tend to like use that to like disregard everything. And as a student, like I sometimes don't want to come out as the angry black woman, because I feel like, and that's why like in a lot of group projects that I've had to work on in like school and in college, it's like I don't want to say anything, because I feel like if I say anything, like I'll be labeled as the angry black woman of like, and then once you're labeled the angry black woman, no one really listens to you, and like white people tend to use that as a way to like disregard any opinion you have. And I thought it was just me, because I thought I was just shy and didn't want to and didn't talk a lot in group projects and stuff like that. Clocking in. This is also an issue around also men or like boys also of girls not wanting to talk around boys because of not wanting to be like, or because it's not like you start talking a lot of boys who just disregard anything you have to say. I just like you being a girl and blah blah blah, and it has the same. So imagine the double jeopardy it has on black women of when I want to talk about white people, and then I want to talk about white people and white men, or just like white women also. So that's where also comes in. So now let's get back into the actual podcast, blah. But it seems to be a lot of like, a lot of black girls, because like me, my sister's friend, and my friend, like a lot of us, it seems to be a lot of relatable stuff within Black women of like not wanting to talk in groups, because if we talk, if we actually like try to like actually like contribute to like a normal level, or like will be seen as bossy, and like no one wants to work with that bossy friend and stuff like that. So it's just like it's better to be quiet, and then because as soon as we talk in like also like in group meetings of like in like work meetings and stuff like that, as soon as like a Black woman starts to talk, it's like she's seen as like sassy and like angry, and just be like and like it's just so much disregarded and stuff like that. And this is also goes for anything in general of like when a Black woman starts talking, she's seen as the angry Black woman and stuff like that. But me personally, I'm starting to like reclaim that word for myself and be like, yes, I am the angry Black woman, and so what? There's so many things to be angry about. These stereotypes you put on Black women, Black girls from a young age, just because because they happen to be a girl and they happen to be Black. So and that's what I try to do with this podcast of like, yes, I am the angry Black woman because I have so many things to be angry about. Because to be real, there's a lot of shit to be angry about in American culture, just like just the culture that America is based around Black women, of just like, yeah, I have so many shit to be angry about and stuff like that. So it's just very interesting. Another trope is the sassy Black woman of like, it also kind of goes along with the stereotype of like Black women not wanting to like talk in spaces of stuff like that, because like they'll be seen as the sassy Black woman, or like as soon as like they show a little bit of personality, or like the other show like, oh my god, you're so sassy, and like that type of stuff of that constant trope of like the sassy Black woman. It's just like no one wants, and that become like you see this in like a lot of tropes of like they're just sassy, and like as soon as they have like like that's the like, oh my god, they have such an attitude. As soon as they just say something like they're vocal about, they have an attitude about. And you see a lot of these tropes also in like movies and stuff like that. We see a lot of these tropes in movies, even in black movies with all Black cast and stuff like that. But the problem with these is like when a Black girl is in a white TV show, a white movie, they have these tropes. When a Black woman is in a trope, like Tyler Perry does a lot of this shit. Like he never wants to see a Black woman happy, so something bad always has to happen to a Black woman constantly. But like I was saying before, like it's like in a Black cast, it's like it's directed by men, created by men, written by men and stuff like that. So they will use this trope on Black women again. So that's why like in 2021, I really just want to see more Black women being Black, without having these like specific tropes. Like maybe like even like all of these tropes, maybe like because like I feel like I'm a little bit of all of these tropes I'm considering, but like the problem is like they just create this one trope of this, I'm putting on this a Black girl, and that's it, and that's why it's fucking harmful as fuck, because of the historical context with these, and we see this stuff constantly. And like I was talking about the sassy Black woman, so let me go back to the sassy Black woman of like the sassy Black woman is seen as she has too much sass, and like she has too much attitudes, and like she has no personality but her sass, and we constantly see this. I don't know. My next trope is the awkward Black girl. I don't know much about the awkward Black girl, but it's like the awkward Black girl is that Black girl who's like into like anime and like stuff like that. Like she's the like quirky Black girl. Like she's like, and like she has, it's like she's the like nerdy type. That's what normally like it is. Like she's that like quirk, like that's all like she's known for and stuff like that. Like the awkward Black girl is more of a modern thingy. Or just like, yeah, and that type of thing. Like, yeah. The next one I want to talk about is the sexy Black woman and the hypersexuality of that Black woman has, of like Black women have always been hypersexual. And then when I was watching the YouTube MTV Decoded video, was like that concept came from like when back in like when the Europeans stepped into Africa, when they saw a lot of like African women and African people in general barely wearing clothes, because that was part of like their culture and stuff like that. So like they use that to like basically use Black women as as whores. Basically, that's what it was. That's what the context was. Basically, it was like yeah. So it's like that's why we see a lot of like black women being forced to be hypersexual in order if they want to get anywhere with thinking like how like if like black women like show like a little bit of their cleavage or their boobs, and that's all like doing like job interviews. We see how black women would try to like cover up and stuff like that and try not to like show as much skin as possible, because then they'll be seen not as professional, but they'll be seen as like kind of hypersexual and like a prostitute. And that's why a lot of black women are being called prostitutes, because of like because like they just have like a little bit of ass to show, or just a little bit of cleavage and stuff like that. That's why people try to like get like stuff to like press down their boobs and like not for it to not be like so obvious and so showy. And like we see and like how like black women are constantly and like young girls are constantly hypersexualized, even in like in their own homes and stuff like that. Like if you're like wearing shorts in the house and like guests are coming over, people your family member could go change to something else, but like why are you telling your daughter to change if you think your friend is a pedophile? Why are you bringing your friend around children? And why are you friend with a pedophile? So it comes to a place of like how families kind of like excuse pedophilia in a way, and like how like young black girls are sexualized at such a young age, and just like we constantly see that over again and stuff like that. And the next one I want to talk about is the housemaid, the mommy of like she's ugly, she's old, she's undesirable. That's how like she's basically described of like it was basically of like it was used as like a way for like white slave owners to basically say black women are undesirable and stuff like that. So we see how like so like she's that old like grandma type, she's undesirable, like no one wants her, and that's how like black women like as soon as like you hit the age of like 40 and stuff like that, and in Hollywood you're seen as the mommy. I'm as soon as a black woman hit the age of 40 or 50 in Hollywood, you're seen as like the mommy, you're seen as like the caretaker, you're seen as like the maid, and like they're usually only cast as like maids for examples and stuff like that. So we constantly see how that's like basically portrayed and stuff like that. And like so you never really see like old black women just like being old black women without having to be like the caretaker and having to like and not really like dating anyone if they're not already married and stuff like that. So it's like because like no one wants to date a mommy, no one wants to date an old black woman, and no one wants to date, and even like 40-50 years is not even old, but like no one wants to like do that. And like that's how like it's like we see how that is, and like even like society we see how that is constantly and stuff like that. And this one kind of goes along with it, but it's also not exclusive to only black women, but it's the fat black woman. We see this in a lot of shows of like how the fat black woman is never seen as desirable. It's never seen like nobody wants to date the fat black woman. We see this in the Parkers of like it did a really great job with the Parkers did a really great job with not really fit into that trope, but it also really did, because like if Nikki was a fat black woman, but like she was seen as they did a really good job with this. Like she was a fat black woman. This is something that like we've never really seen. It's like she was the fat black woman and she was seen as desirable. She was seen as funny. And that's one thing that we never see. Even like white, even if it's a white fat woman, we never see this. We never see white. We never see a fat person be desirable. So like the Parkers really did great with that. But then the problem that the Parkers did that fit into this the fat black woman is that they made her desperate for this man who basically did not want her at all and would basically insult her constantly, would be like would try to get away from her and stuff like that, and then it made her marry him at the end. It was so bogus of just like how like he insulted her so many times and they made her go into him. That's how you know that movie shit was made by a man, because only men would do that fuck shit of that constant shit. So I spent about 17 minutes of this video. I have the most important trope that I forgot and I left out, This biggest one is the strong black woman trope, and I think this is on every single black woman, on how black women are seen as like strong, and like because black women are seen as like the strong black woman, they cannot be seen as sensitive. And when they're sensitive, like people put their emotions down and just like put their how they feel down and stuff like that. So that's why that shit is harmful itself, because everyone's like, well, you're a strong black woman, you can do whatever you want. But I'm like, sometimes, bitch, I want to be baby. Sometimes I'm not a fucking strong black woman. Sometimes I want you to fucking, sometimes I just want to cry on your shoulder. Sometimes I just want to be sensitive. Sometimes I don't want to be the strong black woman all the time. And that's where the trope of the strong black woman comes from, because like, but you see how black women are always like the front one, always like, protesting for black men, protesting for everybody. But so that's where the trope of the strong black woman came from. But then nobody ever wants to fight for a black woman. When black women are being shot in the street for police brutality, no one talks about it, and that's where they say her name came from. And just like, so like when black women are going through shit, nobody wants to say shit. But black women are always the first ones to be in the front lines of every protest when they're there. So that's what it becomes very like fascinating and stuff like that, because like black women are in fact weak, and it's okay, because it's like, bitch, don't call me a strong black woman, because bitch, I'm not a strong black woman. I am a baby, bitch. I am, and that's it. So yeah, a strong black woman trope is very fucking dangerous to black women. And yeah, so now I've talked about trope for 20 minutes in this podcast, so ooh, yeah, talking about the tropes, and that's how you see it's extremely harmful. And there's a lot to talk about with the different tropes, but yeah, I'm done talking about the tropes. And now I'm gonna talk about pretty privileges, because I feel like pretty privilege really shows a lot in representation of like how because pretty privilege is basically like getting shit done because you're seen as pretty, and is very subjective because of the beauty standards in America and just around the world of like, whiteness is pretty. Everyone wants to be white. Even people who are not white will use skin bleaching creams to be white, because the lighter you are, the prettier you are, and stuff like that. So if you're automatically white in the beauty standard, you already have like a ladder up. You're already pretty. But then it's like whiteness is like high up, and like if you're fat, you go down like a stair. If you're like if you have like acne, you go down like a stair. So it's like, so when you fit in like this, and if you're skinny, you go up a stair. And like if you fit in this like build of what privilege is, you see how it's kind of basically built in that type of way of just like, so black women are not white, so like they already start up at the bottom. So now you see how like so like black girls will get so white girls get roles that black girls will not have, because they don't fit into that mold of the beauty standards, and that's where pretty privilege comes from. And we see a lot of privilege with social media and stuff like that, of how like white girls, like there's way more famous white girls who are famous on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and stuff like that. And so and we see how this is, and so it's like it's harder for a black girl to become famous than it is for a white girl. Like with Charlie and Jamila thinking with the dance, of how like Jamila did the dance first, but it got no traction whatsoever. But as soon as Charlie did it, she started getting followers so rapidly, so fast, and now she's like over 100 million followers for something that she didn't even create and stuff like that. So we see a lot of this, and like with on how recently with the blackfishing, of like now white girls are trying to look darker to get roles that like dark skinned people are finally getting after fucking like years and decades and centuries and stuff like that. And then we see how this comes in place of like, and just that constant thing of like, in order for like a black girl, in order for me to like even like want to create content, I want to create be recognized on like a platform and stuff, I have to work twice as hard as a white girl I will have to. And it's just a weird, and like it makes me like not want to work, and then that's why I tend to like give up a lot. It's like I'm just like, I'm probably not even gonna get any success or whatever, but I know I gotta keep trying if I want to see success and stuff like that. So that's just very interesting. So now that I've explained like the privilege and stuff like that, so I'm now going to talk about the lack of representation for BIPOC, black indigenous people of color. Like, we don't do, like, in media, like, in Hollywood movies, all we see are these black girl tropes. That's the only, like, and the black girls can only be in one of those tropes. They cannot be they cannot be in two or more of those tropes. Like, hell no. Like, don't even think about it. Like, don't, like, two or more tropes. Ooh, no. They can only be the token black girl. They can only be the black best friend. They can only be the awkward black friend. That's the only thing. They cannot be sassy and angry. They technically, like I said, the sassy and angry black women kind of coexist sometimes. It depends and stuff like that. So, and like with the indigenous people, we never see indigenous people in movies and stuff like that. And when I had TikTok, I like doing like indigenous like blackout week. That was the most I ever saw indigenous people, and I'm just like, wow, like their content never gets pushed out in the stuff like that. And that's where like only like white people's content usually get pushed out. And like my For You page, the reason why I love TikTok so much because that's why I saw the most representation. Like, I've never seen like people who genuinely look like me. And like when Hollywood tries to like put people who look like me, they make them like have so much eccentric features into it. Like, I never see someone with just like 4C hair. I never just, it's like if they have 4C hair, it has to be like tamed in a way and stuff like that. It has to like look like the perfect curly hair. I don't even know how that's supposed to be look like, but like it's supposed to like have that look to it, if that makes sense. And it's like, so with TikTok, my For You page had people who genuinely look like me. I could see someone who like, I was like, it's like we actually look alike. It's not like look alike in our way. It's not like all black people look alike. But it's like I saw someone who like whose face wasn't like skinny and long, whose hair wasn't straight. It's like I just saw people who genuinely look like me, and that's what I enjoyed about TikTok the most probably. And also that it was funny. But like, yeah. So like when and like with POC people, you will never see POC people. And like with other POC people, they also have like different tropes and stuff like that. But I don't want to talk about that because I'm not part of like, I'm not Hispanic or I'm not Asian. So I can't necessarily talk about those type of tropes. But like when in Hollywood, they only put one of those tropes of those people of color, and like it badly represents how the people in that community actually look like or actually are. So it's just like Hollywood has such a bad representation of people and how people are and how people's communities really are and that type of stuff. And like, okay, and this one's very interesting of how Hollywood gets people who are racially ambiguous to play black people or play like POC people. They'll use like a white girl who's like overly tan and who's like blackfish, like also like in the model agencies, like a lot of like Instagram models and like stuff like that use this, like a lot of like girls who like are blackfishing and stuff like that. They use that to like represent them black girls and black girls as whole, and that's really detrimental because you're like, oh, I'm black and I look like nothing like that. But like, yeah, of course you look like nothing like that because that's a white girl trying to be black. So it's like that's extremely harmful to like young black girls and stuff like that. And to me, fuck that. I'm 18 years old and I barely see myself in the fucking media, and that shit gets to me, bitch. It fucking gets to me of me never ever seeing someone that looks like me ever in media and stuff like that. And I guess that's why I want to also create content. I want to create videos and stuff like that. And I think I want to get back into like video making and stuff like that because I want to be that person that like I want to be that black girl who's just black and funny and stuff like that. So that's what. But it's like I also have like a lot of confidence in show of never seeing myself ever in media and stuff like that, and just that constant thing of like when I saw like someone I was like on TikTok, I saw someone goes viral. It's always that black girl who's like who's black, but also checks all the other box off your eccentric features off, if that makes sense and stuff like that. And Hollywood does a lot of cash grabs when it comes to casting people and stuff like that. They would only like cast they'll cast like one black girl and be like, yo, we're diverse. Like Lupita Nyong'o, like love her, she's amazing, she's great. But like she's if you know something, she's the only dark-skinned black woman in that's popular in media. Like, they cannot get nobody else. I'm like, I know there's a lot of black girls who want to do modeling, who want to do acting, but you guys cannot cast any of them. I'm like, something like is a little fishy to me. So it's like they get one black girl and be like, that's it, that's enough representation for you guys, and that's it. And then with with the lighter skinned black girls, they get they got Yahya Shahidi, and they get Zendaya, and be like, yo, that's your representation, that's it. Yeah, I'm supposed to look like Zendaya. Like, no one can look like Zendaya. She's perfect. But like, they cast Zendaya in everything that's supposed to be in the black girl. It's like, Zendaya is fucking perfect, don't get me wrong, but like, they cast her to basically represent someone like me. So tell me how the fuck that makes sense. Let me know how it makes sense, because it quietly doesn't. And then I was watching this one video when I was researching for this episode. Not technically researching, because when I research it comes out terrible. But like, I was watching this one video by this YouTuber. I wrote his name down because I knew I was gonna forget it. It was the YouTube video was the YouTuber's name was Digital Chad. I think he does like movie reviews as commentary and talks about like that type of stuff. Digital Chad. So it was like forced representation of like how they would like take like a movie that was made like in the like 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s in like war era and stuff like that, and like Chad. And like that was like mostly all white people. We all know it was all white people and stuff like that. And like since it's a historical movie, that's fine. Like, you should all cast like the right, but they would try to like throw in like a black person, or like throw in like a Mexican person, or like throw in like a Hispanic person, or like just throw like some type of Asian person, and like ruin the historical function of it. So that's where it becomes problematic of like trying to make forced representation that's not accurate, and that itself becomes like problematic as fuck, because it's just like, don't ruin historical context just in order to say. And I guess like media also if it's an all white movie, like media will call out the directors, be like, why didn't you cast any black person? But like, a movie's not meant to have any black person or have any POC people, then it's not, because that's a historical movie. But when we talk about fiction movies, like, why didn't you cast any, like? And also like, I guess we should also now like because certain directors also have like a certain vision of how they want their movie to be, but it also becomes with the problem of like, why aren't you casting any black women? Why isn't Hollywood getting any black women directors? Because in 2021, I want black women directors, because I feel like black women directors are the only ones that can really capture what it is to be a black woman in America, and what it means, and like stuff like that. And so that's just very interesting. And like, also I want to talk about how like the trope of like in modern movies of like how black girls are only like, in Netflix does this a lot, and also a lot of all of them really do it a lot. But it's like when they cast a black girl in a movie, like she's used to educate the white counterparts. She's used as the activist friend to be like, yo, it's like she can never just be a black girl just to be a black girl. She has to be there to educate the white counterparts. She has to be. It's like she can never just be there just to be there. She has to be there to be the activist one. She has to be there to play the activist friend, the activist person, and stuff like that. So we see that a lot and stuff like that. And like, Hollywood just in general trying to fit a diversity quota, and that's problematic. It's just like, all we want from Hollywood, and that they're not really listening to, is can we just get black girls, or black women to just be black women? Not having to be the activist person, not having to fit in any of these tropes and stuff like that. We just want black women just to be black women. Just like make a regular movie and just cast a black woman, not having to like rewrite your whole script just because it's a black woman, try to make her fit into these tropes and stuff like that. And that's why I want to get into like movie creating and stuff like that, because I want to start writing scripts and stuff like that. I mean, it's gonna write a lot of scripts and like try to make it, but I never really got around to it. But I want to actually try to do it this time, because I want to like be the representation that there is not. So it's like I want in 2021, I want more black women creative writers, black women creators. In 2021, I want more black women writers, black women creators, black women everything, because they're the only ones who really capture a black woman and what it means to be a black woman. not having to fit into any of these tropes. In 2021, I just want to say a black girl, just be a black girl. I want to say a black woman, just be a black woman. And that's it. And I know I complained a lot in this thing about like the black girl trope, because there is truly a lot to be to complain about. But like we're moving a little bit, like in Congress and like in the like government or whatever, like that whole Congress, House of Representatives. There was like more like black women in the seats, like in Georgia. There's a lot, like Kamala Harris is the first black/Indian vice president. That's great. It's a step. So it's like it feels good to like finally see some. It's like people people have been criticizing her like with like parents who make Instagram posts or like Twitter posts for like their kids saying like, yo, my daughter looks like me and stuff like that, looks like the vice president. People will be like, no, she doesn't, like she's Indian, she's half Indian, like she's not fully black. Camilla's not fully, but it's still a step into somewhere. And people like, you don't want to be Camilla because like she locked up a lot of like black men in prison and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I definitely get that, that's terrible, but I'm like, she's still she's the closest representation to someone that I could finally see in such a high position that looks like me, and that's something I'm gonna take, because it's like black girls I've been told to basically just take the like bare minimum. It's like we have to just take whatever we can get basically, and that's where like a lot of that is. The poet in the inauguration, I think her name was Amanda Gorman. I think so. She looked gorgeous. That like yellow coat, like all the women at that inauguration were popping. Like Michelle Obama was doing her shit. I'm like Michelle Obama was someone like we could finally look at. Like it was like she's the first lady. She did boss that shit. The only time I'm really mad at Michelle Obama for is it's like with the school food. She made that shit really shitty. Fuck her for that. But like overall, she did her shit. Like she was popping. She came and she was like, yo, like she was popping. But yeah, she was doing her shit, and I love that for her. So yeah, and like Lupita Nyong'o, even though she's the only dark-skinned black woman in thingy, she's still a step, and yeah, that's very thingy. So yeah, I'm very grateful. We're moving a little bit, like for every we're like moving like one step every decade, but it's still something, and I guess that's something to still take for. So yeah, and thanks to my friend Jenny. Hi, Jenny. I know this at the end, but like, hi, thanks for inspiring me to make this episode and stuff like that. So yeah, and I think that's what I'm gonna call it for this episode. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, give it a review on Apple Podcasts, give it a like on YouTube, and subscribe. And yeah, subscribe on everywhere you listen to this podcast. And I hope you have a fantastic day and a fantastic week. And I'll see you guys next week. Oh wait, I didn't do my shit. You can email me at professionalramblerpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram at professionalrambler or lousy.safi. Yeah, and I think that's it this time. Okay, and I'll see you guys in my next episode. Bye.